Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Sedrans, and this is the Member for a Day podcast. On the show today are my two good friends, Alex Litt and Cory Sullivan, who are preparing both mentally and physically for 100 holes of golf this week in support of a cause that's near and dear to my heart, ALS. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Eric. Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks.
Guys, it's Father's Day weekend, and the three of us share a terribly unfortunate common bond in that ALS has afflicted all of our fathers. As you two prepare for an eventful week with a wildly ambitious fundraising goal, talk me through this. What's going through your minds? How you guys feeling?
Yeah, I mean we're feeling good. Alex and I were actually joking with each other the other night that while the day itself will be very, very long, it'll be short in comparison to all the work leading up to it. So trying to tie up loose ends, lock in some of these final donated rounds from some of our very gracious supporters, and just getting ready for a very big day. We've got 8 guys playing instead of 2 of us this year, so exponentially more logistics involved. But we're really excited.
Yeah, no, thankful and blessed for the awesome community here. And it's interesting. It's like other people are reaching out and we're like, I don't even know if 8 people are going to be able to play 100 holes, more or less the 2 of us that managed to, we started at 4:30 a.m. and wrapped up at 8. So it's like with 8 people this year, it's going to be crazy. I also, I need to reflect on not trying to do a swing change 2 weeks before playing 100 holes. So note to others out there.
I was literally just going to say, so you did this last year. This is the second year. Like, things you've learned that you're going to be implementing this time around? Like, I'm guessing, like, I know you did like multiple socks last year. You putting like Vaseline in your feet? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think we're pretty well versed in terms of the number of costume changes required at this point, but I think less practice swings will be a big one this year. Focusing less on scoring, honestly. We played a 100-hole match last year, which we both got up and down on hole 100 to finish all square, which still blows my mind. But we're going to have 4 2-man teams competing this year in best ball, bracket style over the course of the day. So you've got a partner to lean on. We'll definitely be generous with the concessions for the sake of pace of play, but yeah, just really trying to figure out how we get 8 guys through this gauntlet instead of just 2 this year.
Yeah, I think the IV is key. So that'll be a critical thing that we'll preserve from last year, kind of doing that midway through, hopefully 60 holes in, just to kind of take a deep breath. So I think that was a good learning from last year. And, we'll see how nice, given this is match play, how many concessions of putts we're going to be giving. I imagine it'll tighten up like any match as we get a little bit later. But I think I'll be a little friendlier to Cory on some of those, 8 inchers or so.
I've seen Cory's game. I think you can give him the 8 inchers. All right. So, Cory, your father passed away several years ago from ALS. Alex, your father is currently battling the disease. Can y'all just try to put into words just how difficult of a disease ALS is, which I know is difficult to do, but I think for those that fortunately haven't experienced ALS, I think it'd be interesting to hear y'all's take of just how difficult this disease is.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, Eric, and we're in this brotherhood that none of us want to be a part of, but it's a blessing to have this community around us. Is that it's terminal, right? So once you get diagnosed with ALS, there's no cure for the disease, and I think that both affects you mentally as an individual, but also those around you to know like there's nothing you can do that's gonna change what you have today. So I think that first and foremost is tough. The other thing that to kind of help add a view in terms of what it is, you're a prisoner to your body. So mentally you're still with it, but from a physical perspective, you start losing a touch of things. So for example, with my father, it started in his knee and then slowly has migrated to his hands where he can't move, and to his entire body at this point that he's contained to a wheelchair, and has to go about life that way. And just really, you can still use your mind and it's still there, but everything else is completely shut down. So I think that's really hard. And then the other thing about it is just how much it impacts those around you. Everyone wants to be there and be supportive and be helpful, but at the end of the day, there isn't kind of an end in sight in terms of what happens. And so every day is a unique challenge, and one just example of that is the other week I was on the road, and my dad called, my mom called, and she was like, "Hey, the power's out." And they're like 5 stories up. They're like, the power's out, and dad's breathing system only works for 3 hours. So what are we going to do? Like if the power's out for more than a couple hours, we're gonna have to bring them all down the stairs. So it's things you like aren't preparing for that you have to constantly prepare for. So.
Yeah. Cory, I know it's been a few years.
Yeah.
What do you remember? Thoughts? Please
Yeah,
share.
I'm sitting here at my childhood home in northern New Jersey, where so for my dad it was really quick. He was diagnosed a couple days before Christmas in 2008 after he had a nagging pain in his left hip, actually largely on the golf course, that kind of led him to go see a specialist. And I remember he came into my brother and I's rooms, which were next to each other. He kind of standing between the two doorways and told us, over the holidays, he's like, this is the diagnosis. Do not Google this under any circumstances, because I think to Alex's point, it's a terminal diagnosis, and it's hard to really know what that journey is going to look like. But and Alex's dad was a very active guy for a long time. My dad played college basketball, so to see someone's body really turn into a prison like that, I mean, it's fun. I was driving in last night, and I drove past the YMCA in the town next door that I used to have to drive him over there in his wheelchair and shower him and like bathe him, which is not something you ever expect to do with a parent. I actually, funnily enough, I saw the transfer board, which why that thing is still in our house is beyond me, but I have a visceral dislike for that thing. A transfer board, for those of you who don't know, is what you use to get someone in a wheelchair in and out of it and into bed and off of their kind of medical grade bed in the mornings, evenings, and it's just, it's very laborious to be in a support role, but it's nothing compared to what afflicted individuals are going through. And I think the never give up attitude that we have seen consistently from the people we have met on this journey is inspiring. Doesn't begin to describe it, but having seen what they're going through and the fact that they remain optimistic and hopeful and are using their time and efforts to really push forward towards a cure for this thing, so that hopefully one day soon is the last time that someone hears you have ALS and it is a terminal diagnosis is a we're working towards it. So hopefully sooner rather than later. But it's hard to explain unless you've seen it up close.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is there's no cause of it. No one knows what the cause of most of the cases of ALS are. And so I think what Cory and I have found in what we're doing today and what we're doing in the 100 holes is talking with Brooke Ibby, talking with Gwen Peterson, who's going to be speaking at our tournament. It's like every person I feel like we meet is a kinder, more generous person, most generous person in the world. And the fact that they've been impacted by this, whether you're 30, 40, 50, it has no marker in terms of who it goes after. It feels like it just goes after the kindest people in the world. That blows my mind.
Yeah, you guys mentioned a few things, and I think it's interesting. I haven't thought about this in a while, but it's the little things that I remember. It's my father trying to wash his hands, and he had long sleeves on, and he couldn't pull his sleeves back up, and so his sleeves were getting soaking wet when he was washing his hands. And yeah, Cory, we've talked about the transfer board before. It's necessary evil, I guess, but maybe it's time to get that out of your house. So you have to look at it anymore.
Assuming mom signs off on it, I will be donating that this afternoon.
Gentlemen, you chose a different organization this year than you did last year, ALS TDI, of which I'm actually not that familiar with. So I'm interested to hear about this as well. How did you choose this organization, and what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so this year we decided, Eric, to have this go out to a handful of organizations. The predominant organization that was going to go to was ALS TDI, but in addition to that, Cory and I are supporting the ALS Association, which we're still excited to support, and also experience camps, which Cory can touch on in a minute. We're so excited about ALS TDI because you can really think about them as a nonprofit biotech firm focused on ALS research. And so as we think about, our kids and generations beyond, the goal here is, let's find a cure. Let's find a way that we can we can slow the progression of this disease for people they have over 30 scientists that are just doing research on ALS. And so as we thought about something where we could focus our funds towards that effort and make a true impact for an organization that is literally spending every day and, in the hub outside of Boston, that's a biotech center focused on research, for us just made so much sense. But at the same time, the ALS Association has been incredible for us as we built out this tournament. They're really focused on care, but they also have research and other components. So we'll continue to support them. And then Cory can touch on experience camps too, which we think is another complementary asset of what we're trying to provide in this event.
Yeah, and to Alex's point earlier, with this being a terminal diagnosis, inextricably tied up in that is that grief is ultimately going to be a part of the ALS journey as a loved one, and knowing that this thing is ultimately heading to an end for your loved one. There's almost a pre-grieving process a part of that. So experience camps. They are based up in Connecticut. It's a free 1-week camp for children who have lost a parent or a sibling or a primary caregiver. So I go up there with them every August and spend a week with a couple hundred of the most incredible young men who it is hard to describe the profound statements you hear from these kids as they navigate their grief journey. So it was the biggest way that I was able to start to navigate that for myself after my dad died. And so we're just thrilled to have them on board. A lot of our actually volunteer caddies on the big day on Tuesday are also volunteers for experience camps. So it's just great to see these organizations all working together towards a common goal.
Yeah.
Experience camps isn't just ALS. I'm assuming it's disease.
No, it is. And I think what we're looking at doing is probably dedicating funds raised from this effort towards kids who have lost a parent to a neurodegenerative disease specifically as we move forward in years together.
But I think beyond that, there's opportunities, right, within experience camps. If there are other conditions or things, we want to help the next set of people like Cory and me that are struggling with a common bond, like we all three of us have. If there are other things like that where, go out and do something like this. Let us help you think through how to make that happen.
Guys, you've put together another incredible auction, which we're going to be launching in a matter of hours. I get text messages from you guys constantly of another top 100 being added. You want to give us like a little preview? I'm sure listeners are going to be tuning in and want to hear which courses are up for auction. So by all means, gentlemen, tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we are constantly overwhelmed at the support of our friends, family, and frankly, strangers coming out of the woodwork to donate time, effort, access to their courses. And I think, as I get older, time becomes the scarcest asset in my life. And so the fact that folks are willing to take a half day out to host, frankly, strangers who are supporting a cause they also believe in at their very elite golf institutions, I think speaks volumes about the platform, frankly, Eric, that you and the team have built at Member for a Day, and really using golf as a way to bring people together and advance us all towards some of these common goals that we have. So just a couple of highlights from this year's auction. The big new one this year that I'd like to specifically call out my friend Jack and thank him for. We've got a kind of 2-day experience at Muirfield Village. It's going to include 2 rounds of golf, a night of lodging. The Nicholas family was very gracious and generous to donate this for us. And I think just coming off Scotty's win there last week, seeing him hold his son in the winner's circle for the first time ahead of Father's Day, there's a lot of parallels there that I couldn't be more excited about. And having been lucky enough to play the golf course once upon a time, run, don't walk to get there.
I love that you get to play it twice too. I think, a lot of times you get to play these incredible courses and it's the best time ever. And you're like, gosh, if I could just play that hole one more time or maybe play that shot differently, it makes for an even more exciting kind of experience. So that one we're super fired up about.
Yeah, we've got a couple of returning donors as well. Places like Friars Head, which was a top performing one last year. That's personally my favorite modern golf course in the world. So highly recommend taking a look at that one. We're bringing Baltusrol back again, thanks to my father-in-law. It's, I got married there, so very near and dear to my heart. But there's a ton of really top tier golf courses out there that, and it's nice to hear that, a lot of our donors are returning donors. They really enjoyed meeting these guys that they got to host last year. Business relationships have come out of this. So people were excited to get back in the mix this year.
Love hearing that. That's kind of the part of member for a day that sometimes we don't hear about. So glad to hear that friendships are made and potentially business deals are done. That's even better. Guys, you're in year 2 of this journey. You raised a ton of money last year. You want to raise even more this year. I'm always curious to ask sort of innovators, where do you guys see this going 5-10 years from now? Do you think this is something that is only going to continue to grow? Like, we'd just love to hear your thoughts.
We certainly hope so, and that's the plan. I think just the sheer volume of folks we had reach out after year 1 really made it clear to Alex and I that there's something here at the intersection of golf and ALS. And
Yeah.
people tend to be passionate about both those topics individually. When you find people passionate about both, they really want to jump in head first and really help drive this thing forward. So we have 6 other golfers playing with us this year who have all been personally affected by this disease. I think the goal next year is to have a kind of series of satellite iterations of this at different locations around the country. So go from kind of one site with 8 players to anywhere from 4 to 8. We've already got some markets identified from people who are big ALS advocacy evangelists in their local markets like Philadelphia and Miami who want to host one of these things next year. So if you are out there listening and have an interest in playing 100 holes of golf in a day, which I will attest to the fact is very, very long, but extremely rewarding, we'd love to hear from you. We're going to be launching our website, ALS100holes.com, in the follow-up to this event that will have a lot of the info and, just a place for people to come to get involved in future years. But it's been incredible to watch this, I guess, is it a movement? Or we're calling it a movement now? It's turning into it. We're really, really grateful for everybody who has donated time, effort, money, connections. And it touches Alex and I's hearts on a daily basis. So thank you.
Alex, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I think as Cory said, the goal is going to be to continue to find others that want to be a part of this. We continue to get feedback of, hey, I want to have my own site, I want to do this, or I want to come be a part of what you guys are doing at your own event. So who knows if we could just have a bunch of folks at the same site. So I think the goal is going to be, do we double this next year as well? Do we go from 400 to 800 and kind of keep building it out? And ultimately with the goal of finding a cure. We've had incredible corporate sponsors this year. We've had just incredible expansion of our entire network here. So I think the goal is going to be to just continue to build it out as we go.
Yeah, and Cory, you kind of mentioned it, but just lastly, how can people get involved? How can they find you?
Yep.
How can they follow the journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So follow along on social on the day of at ALS100 holes on Instagram and Twitter. We've got some pretty cool surprises in plan in the afternoon, especially. You can go to ALS TDI's website. It's als.net. You can find a link there to the actual donation pages. But beyond that, yeah, feel free to reach out directly. The website's going to launch next week, als100holes.com. But in the interim, Alex and I are pretty responsive. You can find either of us on social. That's actually how we found a couple of these golfers this year. So, I know a bunch came through you and the team at Member for a Day, Eric. So you guys have been incredible partners and frankly, really been a huge component of how we have built this into what we have when was our first phone call, the 3 of us? 15 months ago. So this is our second auction.
Well,
so
it's crazy to think just like an email to you, Eric, has turned into where we are today. So to that point, if you do have an interest in getting involved, just like we were like, hey, Eric, what's Member for a Day about? Can we help be a part of that? We would encourage you to do the same thing here. We want to hear from folks. We want to talk to you. So we would just encourage you to just send a note and reach out, and we're around to touch base on it. What we're passionate about. Yeah.
Appreciate that, guys. So Alex and Cory will be playing 100 holes on Tuesday, June 18th at Great River Golf Club in Milford, Connecticut. As mentioned before, they also put together one of the best Member for Day auctions of the year, including, I don't know, a dozen top 100 courses. I'm losing track at this point.
I think we just confirmed the Country Club. We're excited about that one. We got Somerset Hills this year. I'm a fan. I'm a Charles Blair McDonald fan. So we have some sprinklings of Sleepy as well as St. Louis Country Club. So yeah, it should be action-packed fun.
Gentlemen, you're an inspiration. I'm so glad that our paths crossed even in this horrible, uncommon bond that we have. But thank you for your support of ALS, and swing easy this week. Maybe take a few Advil, some ice, and IVs. I'll see you guys. I'll be watching online. Talk to you guys soon.
You're coming next year.
Thanks so much, Eric, for everything.